Chapter 45. Run and Hide.
The wind scraped dry dust across the arroyo floor, hissing low through mesquite and thornbrush like something whispering secrets too dangerous for daylight. Kevin Durant crouched by the fire pit, feeding it thin slivers of mesquite wood. The flames licked upward in orange ribbons, throwing long shadows across the mouth of the shallow cave they'd found just north of the border. Temporary shelter, a place to breathe. Isabel sat a few feet away, her knees drawn up to her chest. She'd wrapped herself in a knitted shawl, oversized and faintly stained at the end. Her long black hair was unbraided, and it caught the firelight in streaks of copper. She watched him, her brown eyes unreadable, the silence between them heavy with something unspoken. "I haven't told you everything," she said at last. Kevin didn't look up.
I figured as much, but that's your business, not mine. I'm only some stray you picked up on your way to wherever you're going.
She let the words hang for a moment, then exhaled through her nose. There was a man, in Monterey, not just any man, a rich bastard with a last name that means something to the wrong kind of people. His father runs a piece of the coast, pretends he owns the city. Kevin looked up now, meeting her gaze. "He cornered me," she said. "Tried to do what men like him always think they can do. But I didn't agree. I fought back, broke a lamp over his head. Then I kept hitting him." Her fingers tightened around her knees. "I don't know if I killed him. Maybe I did. I didn't stay long enough to find out. But I did take something before I left." She reached behind her pack and pulled out a weathered suitcase. When she clicked it open, Kevin saw neat bundles of American bills packed side by side like bricks. "I figured it was compensation," she said softly, "for what he took, for the life I had before him." Kevin stared at the money, his expression blank. Now the police, the dirty ones, his father's people, are probably looking for me. Quietly, like they do when they don't want a scandal. Just a body. She closed the case again, slowly, deliberately. "I admire you, Kevin," she said, voice lower now. "You move like a man who's made peace with what he is. You don't flinch. That means something to me." He said nothing, letting her talk. "I think we could go farther together. We both got things to run from, and maybe toward. I can cook, clean, speak the language. I know the towns and the back roads. You've got the strength, the mind for strategy. If you'll promise to protect me and be faithful, I'll be your woman, your partner. I'm all in." Kevin studied her. He didn't speak right away. His eyes drifted across her face, cheekbones sharp with hunger and heat, lips cracked but strong, eyes that held the firelight like they'd been born in it.
You sure?
He asked.
You know what kind of man I am?
"I know enough," she replied, "and I've had worse." Kevin gave a small nod, barely more than a breath.
All right then.
She reached out a hand. He took it. And just like that, the deal was struck. Not with paper or pen, but with skin and trust and everything unspoken between them. What followed wasn't frantic or desperate. It was slow, careful, almost reverent. Kevin hadn't touched anyone in months. Prison had made sure of that. He was hesitant, unsure, but Isabel was patient. She didn't mock him. She guided him, reminded him what it felt like to be wanted, not just used or feared. She guided his hands over her body. Her breast was average size for her medium frame, but full of spirit. She quivered at his touch, her lips parting to inhale the cool night air. Isabel fumbled at Kevin's buckle as she wrestled to free him from his Levi jeans that could use a good washing. Slowly, his hips raised and his manhood stood to greet her. She had never been with an American. But Kevin wasn't just an American. He was a tall, handsome half-breed American man. Then she stood and released the traditional sundress that seemed to favor all Latinas. Her copper skin tone against the light of the fire radiated against her curves. Kevin admired the shadows from her body cast by the flicker of each flame from their source of heat. Her erect nipples directed his eyes to the roof of the cave, perky, like raw almonds. And then she lowered herself onto him. She was moist, warm, and smelled sweet. Not of perfume, but of the pure scent of a woman. Kevin laid back against the unforgiving floor of the cave. Nothing beneath him but an old quilt from his backpack. Isabel took in all of him, every thrust from her hips taking her farther down his manhood. She recited language that meant little to his understanding, but everything to his ears. Ay, papi, she repeated over and over. Sweat cascaded down the small of her back. The heat from the fire pit compared little to the furnace that burned within her. She collapsed on top of him, her heavy breathing, her hair masking his face. Kevin kissed her deeply, his way of sealing their new deal. It had been many years since he had kissed a woman with passion, since he had wanted to kiss a woman with passion. He rolled Isabel onto her side.
I don't know how to say this in Spanish, but now it's my turn,
he said. Placing her onto her stomach below him, he buried his nose in the nape of her neck. Taking his time, he re-entered her parted thighs. Isabel elevated her hips and curved her back to meet his entry. She clawed at the ground before her, her ecstasy and pleasure uniting as one. Ay, papi. Kevin tested her boundaries, trespassing into deep, wet places never touched by a man. But he was not just any man. He was now her man. Kevin saw Isabel as the woman that nature may have created just for him. He knew that life had withheld her from him until now. He captured her pelvis into his creased arm, steadying her body against each of his strokes. Every stroke a deeper dive than before. Slow, powerful, deliberate. Isabel began to shake beneath him. She shook uncontrollable as Kevin applied more of himself. Tonight, she was his to claim. Ay, papi! She cried again. Then he exploded, releasing himself into her. Years of reckless living and pinned-up frustration flooded Isabel. Completely spent, he collapsed onto her. Now he knew that she truly belonged to him. Never before had a man claimed so much of Isabel. The warmth of Kevin flowed through her like a stream of lava from an angry volcano. In her mind, Kevin Durant was the man of her dreams. When it was over, they lay side by side on the thin quilt, bodies tangled, the fire fading to soft embers. She rested her head on his chest, fingers tracing his abs like a map to hard-won survival. Tomorrow, she said, almost sleepily, we start planning for the long run. Kevin stared up at the cave ceiling, a strange calm settling over him. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't alone, and that made him dangerous again, not just to others, but to a past that refused to stay dead.